What is up, everybody? Wagner Capital here. It is Sunday, and we are looking at the charts for the week ahead, seeing where the market stands, what kind of plays we have, and what stocks and tickers we'll be keeping our eye on this week. So as always, let's start with SPY. This is actually, I believe, my first video where I'm kind of doing like the weekly outlook. So hopefully you guys like this and, can kind of learn something, but this is the process I go through on Sunday to kind of get the tickers that I want to keep an eye on. And these are more kind of like swing trades, like these I'm looking at weekly and daily charts here. And so, every day I kind of do this to see what, any updates given the day's action and any new tickers that I want to be looking at like within the week. So those would be more looking to play like day trading or weeklies, whereas these are more maybe like buying a couple weeks out. So let's start with SPY here. And I just actually tweeted a thread on this. So if you guys want to check out my Twitter, you can read it. But let's just like do a quick recap of where the market's at. So this is the COVID dip, right? So if we go back even further, like we've been in an uptrending market for a long, long time, okay? So this is, all the way back to like the 2008 crash, solid trend up. The thing that broke it, COVID, right? But that was just a quick blip. And since then, we've been right back on the rise. And so this uptrend, like, is pretty tested, right? Like we have a bounce here, like a test here, test here, test here, test. We break it. So this is September of last year. We regain it, test, break, and then we can't regain it. Actually, like this outside candle is pretty bearish, like an engulfing bearish candle, dropped far below. And now this is the furthest we've been away from the trend line since COVID. Okay, so what does that mean? When we have an uptrending market or downtrending, either way trending, it's easy to play. Like it's trending up. You're just looking for good entries. And so like, which way the market's going to go. You're just waiting for a good entry. So let's see here if we can find just a good example on the fly here. Okay, so like this would be a good example right here. Okay, so we see in the past, let's see, this is like, let's call this 320. Okay, so what are we looking at? We see this uptrending market, right? We see some resistance here, then we break through it, but then we bounce back down. So right here, there's action around 320. Right here, same thing. We bounce down, catch 320, go back up. So right here, like we know this is a good entry. Like we're coming up to good levels of support. We have our trend line as support. We have a bullish engulfing candle. So like if we could have bought, like we would have seen this daily candle, been like, okay, we're close to our trend line. We know this is going to be support. This is a great looking candle, like a good indicator to buy. Next candle wicks below, and then boom, we're off, right? So like same thing here. So look, we can just keep drawing these levels. So if we draw this level here, we look over here, we get above it, and we're kind of bouncing. Here we bounce, there's like support, we get down below it, then we regain it, we retrace back to it, and we're like, okay, this is a good level of support. Like it's just an uptrending market. So the point is you're looking for key levels of support and resistance. Boom, you're close to the trend line, buy, dip back down, buy. It's easy, okay? So now what do we have? We have broken this. So it's happened before. So we broke it and we regained it. We broke it. We tried to regain it. We couldn't. Had a huge bearish candle here, big one here. And then obviously this week, a couple of weeks ago was huge. And so we can regain it, right? Like we could see it push. This 453 level is pretty important. Like if we push up above that, we could still regain this. I'm not saying it's over. We're about to enter a bear market or anything like that, but we just need to be more careful with our trades. So we can't just play this trend line. This trend line is out, right? Like we're pretty far away from it. Like it would take a pretty heroic candle, like a gap up on Monday and a heroic candle that breach. What would this be for next week? We'd have to reach 495 and we closed last week at 450. So, a $50 candle would be pretty insane. So how are we going to trade this week? Let's go back to our weekly chart. So if you can see these white lines are our weekly levels, and they're pretty strong here, right? Like we get a touch here. This is obvious. Like if you just see the trend, we're going up and then we retrace, we go up, we retrace, we go up. That's kind of the pattern, right? You go up, you retrace, you go up, you retrace, you go up, you retrace. So this level, pretty important, 431. We caught it here, caught support, bouncing around it, caught support here. 453, rejected here, right? So this is serving as resistance. We can't break above it. Then we finally do break above it and we come back and it acts as support. So like this level is just like tried and tested, very important. There's a lot of traders here. We got up to it the first time, sold off. When we finally broke through it, it sold off right back to it. Then the buyers came in, right? And then the last one is 472. We just have a couple touches here. We broke through it briefly for a week and then came back down. So those are the three key levels I'm looking at. And hopefully you guys can just see visually like how this makes sense. There's just a lot of touches. It's support here, right? So if we go into the daily, we can see how like clear these levels are, right? So we build up, we catch this down to this one, rise up to this one, bounce down back to this one, rise down back up to this one, okay? So now that I wouldn't consider the past few weeks as a trending market. We're in what's called like a ranging market or a range bound market, okay? And that's what you see here. It's ranging between what this is still the up trend, then we break the trend line. And now like, so right about here, we're just bouncing between key levels, right? You get this key level. If you would have bought here, boom, big gains, sell here, boom, big gains, buy, boom, big gains. Once we reach this, sell. Once we reach this, buy, right? Once we reach this, buy. So that's what we're looking to do, okay? And so we see the rejection of 453 here. So to me, what I'm thinking with SPY, and I'm not trying to guess, okay? I'm gonna watch this unfold, knowing my key levels and see what we can do. So we'll have to see where Monday opens, but I'm looking to play calls off of here, puts off of here, and then this middle, like 453 level, we have to be careful because, you know, is this gonna act as resistance? Is it gonna break through and then act as support? So we'll have to see. And then we also want to use like indicators to know when to enter. Okay, so indicators are typically be like an inside outside candle. So for here, like this is a bullish engulfing candle. The low is lower, but it raised all the way to be higher than this. Like this would have been a great buying candle, right? You see this day, like this is bullish. So if you would have bought here, like you would have ripped up. So here, this is kind of like a shooting star pattern, meaning there's a higher wick on the top. Now it's a green candle, so it's not like, you know, we still gained on the day, but we clearly had immense selling pressure when we got to 453 that pushed us all the way back down to 448. So maybe this is a bearish candle. Like maybe we'll see where Monday opens and like this was the beginning. Like, right, we bounced off this a couple times. We tried, couldn't hit it, and we'll just bounce back down to 431. But that's how I'm playing SPY, guys. Like I'm looking at these key levels. When we're in a trending market, you're basically looking at the trend line and potential key levels. And once you touch them, it's just like buy, right? Like you hit this trend line, then it's like, okay, I know we're like in a trending market. This is acting as support. This is really, really easy. Anytime you cut anywhere near here, you just buy. Okay. It's not the market we're in anymore. It's going to be a little tough. It's tougher to trade. And I'm not saying we can't return to that. Just in this week, I don't see us, right, regaining this trend line. And I haven't seen anything to suggest like it's over. Like we're entering a bear market. We're going to plummet, like just buy puts and sell short. So this will be a tougher market. It can get choppy and we don't like chop. We want to see trends, but that's kind of where I'm trading. That's where my head's at. Let's see this 453 level, 450 level will be key to see if we can like regain it and held as support or if it's just going to, you know, reject us. And so now what tickers in particular are we looking at based on this information? So BABA is the first one. Am I losing internet here? Sorry, guys. See if we can get our Wi-Fi back up. Okay. Okay. So BABA is the first one. We can see here like a clear downtrending market, right? And we have a couple touches to confirm that. Then what I see is a couple key levels. So we clearly 110 has been tough to break through. We've wicked, tested it, nope. And then 133, we've kind of been range bound in this range for the last couple weeks, right? So for me, what I'm looking for is if we can get up to 133 and or this trend line, and then we're going to reject it and push down. So like what I would love to see is like tomorrow, BABA's really gappy, so you got to be really careful. But let's say we get like a green candle, we get up to 131, 132, right? So we're right at this level. Like this level coming tomorrow is the, you know, convergence of two different trends. So like if we get here and reject, like that just be confirmation that our levels and, you know, indicators are right. But what I want to see is we push up to here. So that gives us a good entry because we're looking to enter short. The trend is your friend, guys. Like I'm playing this short. This is just downtrending. It's giving me no reason to think like we're going to be pushing up. Right? Like, look at this. It's just steadily declining. And again, it's not just like a down, but it's like down, back up, down, back up, down, back up, down, back up, down, back up. So we just want to see a touch of the trend line to enter and then like an indicator. So like, you know, a bearish outside candle, like something like that. So basically we just want to see a touch of this trend line. We'll enter puts and then we can ride it down to this level. Hopefully we break through. But that is BABA. The next one is Bank of America. And this is like the opposite. We've been in a steady uptrend for a while here, a couple touches to confirm it. And then you can see these ranges are like pretty obvious, right? So if we go to the daily, we look, we've been trading in this range for a while. So this is just the same idea as BABA, but the opposite. Like we're range bound right now. I'm like looking, okay, so one would be great if we could get an entry off of this trend line. Like, you know, maybe this 48.50 level is going to act as resistance tomorrow, or yeah, tomorrow we'll open, maybe not a gap down, but we'll open, like reject it. We'll see, you know, a couple red candles on the dailies. And then once we get somewhere around here, we can enter calls. And so we'll see, like, you know, we see it just bounce off this trend line. Like it's just clearly in an uptrending market. So like right here, if you would have bought off this bounce, like those would have played huge. So that's what we're looking for. The thing with Bank of America is like, we might not get a retest. Like this might've been our retest right here, right? So maybe this was the move. Like if you would have been playing this a couple of weeks ago, you would have seen like, hey, this is where I should buy. Like we just touched this and now we're just up, you know, like we might not get another retest of this, but this 48.50 level has been playing pretty tough. So I think we might, but the other play besides like bouncing off the trend line would be if we break this level. So like, I mean, we got faked out here, right? Like we broke it, you could have entered long, would have, you know, not played out. But like, if we can close it daily up here, and this is why I'm swing trading these guys, because it might take weeks for this to play out. But if we can close above this, then that might tell me like, hey, we bounce off the trend line here. We're ready to push to higher highs. So that is Bank of America. The next one, Microsoft, same as Bank of America. We've been in a huge uptrend. They've just like honestly been crushing it. A lot of touches, a lot of touches. So we just broke it, okay? So actually, this isn't going to be the same as BABA. I forgot. It was an uptrend, but we could play this one either way. Okay, so we're kind of looking either way here. So this one, we've seen a little bit of range boundness, just like support here that we broke through it and just kind of bouncing around. But so the way I'm thinking of playing this is one, this could act as key support right here because we saw on the weekly, like it's acting as resistance here, then we catch it as support here, okay? So if we could bounce off this, regain the trend line and break past 320, like we could be pushing, like we could just regain the trend line. Remember, so in SPY, we did this. Broke broke the trend line here below, but then we like eventually regained it, right? So like this is the same setup. We broke below this long trend line. We caught support at 431. And if you would have bought here, like that would have been weeks. Like these are weekly candles, 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week, 5 weeks in a row in the green. So look for that pattern. And can we see the same thing on Microsoft, right? We break below the trend line, here's some support, and then are we going to rip for 5 straight weeks in the green? Like we'll see. The other thing is this trend line could act as resistance. We might not be able to break 320. Like if we close below 305, that's like a key level. That wouldn't be good. So Microsoft, I think, is just primed for a move either way. And when you're primed for a move either way, it's great because you can play it either way. It doesn't matter what happens. There's a way to play it, but you got to be extremely careful because I think this one's ready to rip one way or another. Next one we have is Chewy. So this one's been like it's not a clear, like I couldn't get a really clean downtrend line that we've like tested. Like maybe you could draw this in just off this. Again, like guys, you just want to look for these trending markets. So like we have down, up, down, up, down, up, down, a little bit up. Okay. So like I think this one is going to be a bearish play. I think we could see here. Like we have the trend line acting as resistance and the 51 level acting as resistance. So like rejected here, rejected here, rejected here, like acting as support here. This line, like I really, really like this level of 61.30. And so I think if we get up to this 51, we could see a rejection, a big bounce, regain this trend line like to the downside, right? And so I think Chewy could be an interesting play. And then the last one's Plug. Again, like clear downtrend, pretty aggressive downtrend, some obvious support here. Even kind of flirted with it last week. And I'm looking for similar to Chewy, right? Like bounce off this key support, come down, meet the trend line, or maybe we broke the trend line in this one. Maybe the downtrend is broken. We had this very bullish candle here. This 513 EMA cloud on the daily chart looking to flip. So if we don't see this try to fall below the trend line again and reject 21,350, we could see this gain 2350, right? Like we could see this break the trend line, blow past this resistance, it turns into support, and then we're off to the races. So Plug is I have my eye on too, but guys, the biggest thing with all of these plays is you have to look like to SPY for confluence. Okay. So if SPY, let's say we reject 4350 and we just start falling, then you don't like if SPY is going down and is bearish, you don't want to rip a bullish play, right? Like I don't want to be long Bank of America, even if this chart plays out, if SPY is trending down. Okay. So like SPY, I mean, I just want to be moving in the same way as the market, right? Like, I don't want to get too fancy where I'm like shorting SPY, but long Bank of America. Like, I'm just, there are more advanced and expert traders that can pull that off and, just thread the needle and get profits on both. Like, I'm not one of them, at least not yet. If I think SPY is going to be rejecting this and falling down, then I have a couple, like we said, bearish plays in here, right? Chewy was one, Baba was one. Like I'll be looking to play these then, and I'll be looking for a good entry. If SPY breaks these levels and we're ripping, then I'll look to play Bank of America. I'll look to play the Microsoft. Like I'll look to play these bullish plays. Okay, so that's how I'm keeping an eye on things. That's what I'm looking at. Hopefully you guys learn something from this. Check me out on Twitter. I post a thread about this, and on my website where I post daily updates that include a recap of the day's action and an outlook on tomorrow. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys this week.